chair makes so much noise. Hello, Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk every Sunday here on YouTube, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up, and it will have qualified therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and Susanna's alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other life coach or therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Okay, a couple of announcements. I am going to be in Honolulu next weekend. If you are interested in seeing me, please go to Eventbrite. Sign up for the Honolulu one. I'm going to be there regardless because, you know, Hawaii. The next one after that is going to be in March. That is going to be Washington, D.C. So we need more people signed up for Washington, D.C. because with all the coronavirus stuff, I am not flying out for just one or two people. So, because I'm a little paranoid about that. Also, big announcement, the cruise that we were going to do in May is done, canceled because of the coronavirus. I don't know if you guys have been watching the news or not, but people are getting quarantined on these ships for like weeks at a time, and ain't nobody got time for that. So canceling the cruise until further notice, until this whole coronavirus thing dies down, so to speak. God, that's terrible. Anyway, so there's that. Cannot think of any other announcements. If you wish to purchase my books, they are available on Amazon.com, both Audible and in hard print. If you want to get them autographed, you can go to the Mercury/shop website. And also I like to hoe for Shahida Arabi's book. She's amazing. So this is Healing the Adult Children of Narcissists, Essays on the Invisible War Zone by Shahida Arabi. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love, love, love. So get this book too. All right. Also, Susanna has got a book out. Where's your book? Show them your book. Show them her book. And your book is going to be out on Audible. When?
Yes, audiobook. We're launching next Friday, Valentine's Day. That will be on my Facebook page, which my Facebook page will be in the links.
Yes.
Also on my website, you can actually go and get the ebook for nothing.
Ta-da!
So go to my website to do that.
And it will be available in stores?
And in bookstores May 5th. And I'll let you.
And I will announce that, put that up on my Facebook page, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Today's topic is weeding your garden, dealing with the smear campaign. And it's funny the way the universe works. Susanna just posted a blog on smear campaign, and lo and behold, she had to deal with her own. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, and then you just let me know when you want me to interject.
Okay. So yeah, that's funny how everything's working and coming together. Mm-hmm. It's like the universe is like, let me give you this to talk about today. First, I just want to say that the smear campaign of a narcissist, the reason that it's so devastating is because, you know, this isn't like if there's such a thing as a normal divorce between two healthy people, we'll just say,
right.
You know, afterwards, maybe you maybe diss your ex a little bit, or just, you know, to impress the new person or whatever else. But that all happens after the fact. What's so devastating about finding out about the smear campaign of a narcissist is that you find out that this person that you loved and trusted, perhaps married, maybe even had children with, has been talking about you and building a narrative about you, like painting a picture of who you are since day one.
Bingo.
Since the word go.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they've been writing this book about you, this fictional book, right?
Mm-hmm.
that you don't know about the whole time that you're with them. And at the same time, you are divulging secrets of yours, things that, you know, your insecurities or your personal struggles or challenges or whatever else. And that's exactly what they're putting into this fictional book, right? To set you up so that the day that you are no longer with them, because maybe their mask has fallen off, and well, definitely their mask falls off. And maybe, like in my case, I left him, or you are left or discarded. The narcissist already has this book, right? It's already written, and they've been already building this narrative about you. So when you find out, that's utterly heartbreaking, right?
Yeah, it is
heartbreaking to find out.
You've trusted this person, you've loved this person, you've shared your deepest inner secrets with this person, only to find out that they have been going around town and literally grabbing the ear of anybody who will listen and telling them what a horrible, awful, terrible person you are. And remember, they're speaking about themselves, not about you, but it does feel personal. So.
And also, it doesn't necessarily look like what you think it does.
Right.
Like you know, in my situation, for example, you would think, oh, he's going around bad mouthing me, telling people, you know, like what a terrible mother I am or stuff like that. Actually, it was just the opposite. Because, and this is, you know, I gotta say, this is really genius on the part of a narcissist. Incredibly deceptive and without any integrity, but genius in how they go about it, because they endear themselves to the listener.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I can't tell you during my marriage how many times I would have maybe friends or acquaintances come up to me and say, oh my God, your husband loves you so much. He just thinks you are the best mother. He can't say anything wrong about you. Meanwhile, I would just be sitting there in confusion because I'm like, that's not what he's saying to me behind closed doors.
Right.
He's
Right.
telling me the exact opposite behind closed doors. The other thing that they do, which again is genius, is they take a shred of the truth. So something that's part, you know, they start with just a shred of the truth and then they warp it and manipulate it.
Yep.
Right. So for example, I'll give you just one of 1,000 examples. We lived in a very small town, and it was a very cold, small town. And I grew up in Arizona, and he grew up in Miami in California. So we would share a lot of the times, wow, this is difficult to, especially in the winters, and especially for me, who was blessed, was lucky and fortunate to be raised in Arizona, where if you don't like the weather, you drive 2 hours in any direction, you get out of it.
Or wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, or wait 5 minutes. So not so in this state. You would have to like literally drive your car 3 states away or go get on a plane at an airport 2 hours away. So that's how small the town was. So we would share this about how difficult it was. And I would share with him, you know, gosh, these winters, they're depressing. I felt like I was living in Russia sometimes with the, funny how that played out too with the Russian child bride.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
But it's all related.
So what that turned into was that later on, as this tale is, you know, because he would slip these tidbits out in when he's having conversations. So my sharing with him, wow, this is really difficult getting, you know, especially like around January, February. I was dying. I hadn't seen the sun. I was freezing. I lived with cold hands, the entire winter. That turned into me being depressed and hating the town, right? Which for him, he's telling this story to other people, and they're like, and he's telling like the natives of the place, right? So that's endearing himself because he's like, I love it here.
But she's depressed. She hates this place, which is not something she said. Yeah.
Right.
That is not anything you said.
Right. So it's taking just a little bit of the truth
and twisting it.
And twisting it.
Right.
Or me sharing because my father has been, always will be until if he's ever taken abusive and an overt narcissist, and has brought so much pain to not only me, but my entire family, my mother, my brother. And it's been like this since I was a girl. These are things I shared. Those turn into, I have daddy issues.
Right. Yep.
Daddy issues.
Yeah.
I'm entitled. I don't appreciate my father because he
did
money.
So much for you.
He did so much.
And you've done nothing for him. Oh my God, I've heard that story. Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So every single thing is just, again, taking a shred of the truth, you know, like when I had postpartum depression, which is any mother out there who's gone through it. Oh my God, you wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy. Turning that into me being emotionally unstable. Right. And I had no idea the entire time. Now that I look back, now it makes sense, because especially those last couple of years, I would think, well, why is this person treating me different? You know, somebody who knows him, or maybe a friend of ours, but, you know, maybe that hangs out with him or whatever else. And I notice people were different around me a lot of the times. I know sometimes I'd walk into a room and they'd either turn away, or if somebody came to our house, I just sensed a
distance.
Something.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was so deep in especially at the end of my marriage, I was so deep in just trying to survive through the day, because he had become increasingly cruel, and I just started staying home a lot. Didn't go out in public much. I just didn't want to see many people. And I just concentrated on trying to be there for my kids. But literally, I just had the energy to get up in the morning, get the kids to school, get through the day, and go to bed that night. So I really didn't have that energy, or even that desire wasn't there to go further to find out.
Right.
So it wasn't until after I left this small town that's when the voices started coming out of the woodwork and saying, wait a second, he said I thought you were this.
Yeah.
And da-da-da-da.
Yeah. So the smear campaign does not happen. I mean, it happens during the relationship, but it's not just after the end of the relationship. These fuckers will literally do this for years and years and years afterwards. And the smallest thing will tip them over the edge and send them back into the old behavior again. So let me turn it back over to you to continue on with what happened this week.
Yes. Yesterday.
Yeah.
So, and that's another reason why this is so important for me to talk to all of you out there who are still going through it. Maybe you're fresh, either out of that relationship or even still struggling in it, because I wanted to share that even though that I'm farther down the road, and I have that emotional detachment to the past and I can talk about anything that happened to me, this shit still goes on and I'm still dealing with it. And there are things that still, just for a minute, I mean, whereas in the past it'd be like I'd be out for 3 days, whether it was a trigger or a flashback or him reaching out or whatever else. Now it's a minute, where I just have to, because my old instincts take over.
Right.
When I hear something or I hear from him. So lucky me, after a very, very long time of not having any direct communication where he was directly to me, either insulting me or whatever else. I mean, it's a common theme ever since I left him that I'm a terrible mother. We all know this. My kids know this. They all,
right.
I'm just a bad mom.
According to him.
Everything's my fault.
According to him.
All the things that go wrong with my kids, like if they fail classes or like one of my sons got in trouble, whatever it is, it's all my fault 'cause I'm a bad mom. Whatever they do good
is all him.
Is all him, even though he hasn't raised them.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm used to these types of narratives. But I will say that it did take me off guard because it was a very simple, and a lot of you know this, where you send like a simple, very plain sentence or question, like, hey, can I, because when you share children, you have to do this shit.
You have to talk to each other.
Right. So there was just a simple sentence question. It was about money. It was for one of my children, which brought about a long
diatribe
response back.
Yeah.
That included things where it was a word salad. I'm a little confused as to some of it still, but here's what it did, is it gave me insight as to, I already know some of the things he's saying about me, but it gave me more insight into exactly, because he basically spelled out what he's telling about me, what he's writing in this fictional book of his about me in this small town we used to live in. So I want to give some examples because I know a lot of you out there. I want to tell you how it made me feel and also what I did about it, because I know a lot of you out there have to deal with this. So besides I'm definitely not going to read the whole thing, but just this overwhelming theme of putting it all on me. There's a lot of projection in here for all of you who know how to handle projection, where if he's saying, you are this, you did this, you cheated, you lied, he's saying, I, right? That's projection.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, based upon this, I don't know what exactly that one sentence did to elicit this essay, But here it is. This was just yesterday I received this. And then I'll also tell you my response to him, because he's got people, flying monkeys, watching today to report. If he's not watching himself, I don't know, because he also admits he's still stalking me. Oh, fun times.
Good times. Good times.
So he is speaking to me. It is clear now to everyone that the only person playing a victim is you. And you do it to get attention, because that's always been what you needed, is attention. And when your daddy didn't buy you a pony, you lashed out. I honestly don't understand, but I don't know. If there's a psychologist out there that can help me decipher that. The only narcissist between the two of us is you. You just don't know it yet. Your biggest fear is that our children will eventually find out what a fraud you are. And it doesn't matter how many books or articles you write, he's still stalking me. You have built a foundation based on lies and being a victim. Everyone has started to figure out the real truth about you. It was only a matter of time. You are your worst enemy.
I have so much to say. Let me know when I can say it.
Okay. So let me say the first. This is really important, because I have to tell you, no matter how strong I've become, no matter how emotionally detached I've become, the hell that I went through, right? And the trauma that afterward, because this wasn't just in the marriage, this was after. He stole 2 years of my life after I left him, because he was stalking me and cyber stalking me and having me followed, and on and on and on and on. So when I first read this, there were two things I immediately felt. The first was fear, because my fear was going back to when I was with him, and I was scared of him because I know what he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen what he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Then my second thought, I kid you not, and it lasted for like 15 seconds, is I thought, am I the narcissist? Am I the fraud? I considered that. I was like, okay, wait, everyone is going to figure me out. What? Okay, maybe I'm the narcissist and I'm the fraud. And I'm like going in my head, like, am I? I want you to comment on that.
Okay, so here's the deal. Narcissists are not self-introspective. They never once sit down and go, am I the narcissist? Am I the problem? Never. Not once. So if you're sitting there in your head going, oh my God, is it me? Am I the problem? What's going on? No, you're not. Narcissists don't go get help. They don't seek a therapist unless they can manipulate and control them. And they are not introspective enough to go, what is my part in this? Ever. They do not take personal responsibility. The other thing of it is that, remember, we have been programmed by our narcissistic parents to immediately accept all of the responsibility for what they're doing. So it is natural for us to go, oh my God, is it me? Is it me? Am I doing something wrong? What did I do? What did I do? Narcissists don't even think twice. Do you really think they have a conscience? Do you really think that they care about who they are hurting? And all of this projection, you guns, okay? There's 2 fingers pointed out. There's 6 pointed back at the narcissist doing the youing. There was something else I wanted to say about that. Hold on. You keep talking. I want to read this circle.
Okay. It's the bottom.
The bottom one. Okay.
That's
Hold
good.
on. Okay.
And if anybody can give insight on since my daddy didn't buy me a pony.
Okay, that is a term. So let me explain.
Oh, it is.
So what it is that it makes fun of the super entitled. So what it is
Okay.
Daddy didn't buy me a pony. You know, that whole thing. When it's like they've had like everything. But basically what that is describing is a true narcissist, because the narcissist will focus in on, you know, even though they lived in a mansion and they had chauffeurs and they had every single, you know, meal cooked for them and they never had to lift a finger and blah, 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 blah. The only thing that they can point out is that Daddy didn't buy them a pony. Do you see where I'm going with that? So it's a slam. It's a slur. It's a gotcha.
Right.
Kind of
So
thing.
this is added into his smear campaign then, because he, during the marriage, for example, because he came from very, poor background,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't. My parents had money,
Mm-hmm.
and they helped us out tremendously and gave us money like for our first home and stuff like that. So that's part of it. Is
Mm-hmm.
I think what he's saying is that, because one thing he would always say in the marriage to me and my oldest son is, you have no work ethic. because he was a workaholic, because he loves money. And it was one thing that, that was what was always drilled in, is because of my background, which I couldn't help any more than he could help his, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I see that that's spinning. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
he's spinning
cool.
it. The other thing I want to point out is generalizations. So when a narcissist is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, which is 24/7, and they have decided to go on a smear campaign and they are attacking, they use broad generalizations. Everyone knows you're a fraud. Okay, specifics. Who are you talking about? Give me names. And you know what? They're not going to be able to. Or if they do give you names, it is going to be their top flying monkeys. So you've got to not buy the bullshit. There was a Heather Sinclair posted this thing today. It was a meme and it said, "Oh, I checked my receipt. I didn't buy your bullshit." And I was just like, that's perfect. Because what they do is they sell you bullshit saying everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows what a fraud you are. Everyone. Who? Give me names. Give me names. I want to know names. Give me names. Who's everyone? Because that's what they do. They live in broad generalizations because they don't have the evidence and they don't have the proof, and they're trying to make you feel less than. And so immediately our inner child goes, everyone, who's everyone? Oh my God, everyone thinks I'm a fraud. Everyone. No, I bet you he can't name 5 of them. Hello, unless they're flying monkeys. So, there that is. So be wary when you get a broad generalization. Everyone knows you're a fraud. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows that. Or if they make blanket threats, you're incompetent, you're this, you're that. My therapist said so. Really? Who's your therapist? Do you see where I'm going with that? They won't be able to answer because they don't have one.
One of the first people I thought of, because when I said, because I was like, am I a nurse? Am I a fraud?
You're not. I wouldn't have anything to do with you if you were.
Wouldn't Chris know?
Yeah, I would. Absolutely.
Or maybe she knows and she's not telling.
And here's the other thing. So basically what it is that this person has told you exactly what they're going to do.
Right.
So narcissists are pathetically stupid. They think they're smarter than everybody else. But when they get angry, they lose it and they bleh out exactly what they're going to do, what they're going to say, who they're going to say it to, everyone, what they're going to try. So, for example, I had one that called me up and said, I'm going to make sure you're not the target of abuse's friend. I'm going to make sure that you guys are no longer in communication. I'm going to make sure that he or she is not speaking to their family. I'm going to make sure. They laid it out. They absolutely laid it out. Now, unfortunately, the target of abuse was unwilling to listen to that, but they tell you exactly what they're going to do. So when these assholes show you who they are, believe them the first time. They're telling you exactly how the smear campaign is going to go down. Now, here is something that's super important. The only people that will believe the smear campaign are flying monkeys. That's it. And this is where we come to weeding the garden out, guys, weeding the garden out. People who are willing to believe the worst of you when there is absolutely no evidence. No evidence. And in fact, there's a shit ton of evidence to the contrary, that you are a good person, that you do take care of your kids, that you are conscientious and you do have a good work ethic and you are a good person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The ones who are willing to believe the word of a fucking lime sack of shit narcissist are not your tribe. Pluck them from your garden, throw them on the compost pile, and be done. Because you don't want them in your garden. They're not your tribe. They're not your flowers. You want gardenias, or I don't know, what's the other one I like? Hyacinths, or what's the other one? It's the hydrangeas. You want the flowers that you enjoy and that enjoy you, and that you guys are copacetic and you're all friends and you have each other's backs. That's what a good garden looks like. It's a beautiful garden filled with amazing flowers and amazing, trees and things like that. And people who are going to support you and believe you and not fall in line with the goddamn narcissist. So,
yeah, that was difficult. That was, that also is that's why the healing journey is so freaking hard and heartbreaking, is because not only finding out that this person that you loved, invested, blah, 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 is talking about you, right? And telling lies about you and spreading, like I said, taking shred of truth and twisting it and turning it so that it benefits them and makes them the victim. And after you yourself have been through untold or unspeakable, abuse, whether that's emotional or physical or psychological, financial, all of that, so you're very tender and vulnerable.
Right.
And to find out that not only is this person, writing this fictional book about you, or putting on like I always say, putting on the one-man show, the three-ring circus, is that people that you thought were good people are buying a ticket to it.
Right.
And you know that they're going against their good nature, because there are people who, like, when I look back, I think, was it because that I left the town, right? And I couldn't defend myself. But then I think, you know what? I put myself in that position. And your basic nature tells you, people know, for the most part.
Yeah, they do.
So
they do.
It is heartbreaking to find out that
people you thought you could trust, you could not. We're going to have questions in about 5 minutes, guys. So make sure you get your questions out there. Make sure you put question and then whatever your question is, so that the admins can figure out what is a question and what is you guys just talking to each other. So the smear campaign is brutal. It is brutal because we care what other people think about us. We do. We're pack animals. That's what human beings are. And we have to get to a point where we only care about what people who are genuine and true think about us. And when somebody is genuine and true, they do not do a destructive criticism of you. They do a constructive criticism of you. So in other words, destructive is where somebody walks up and goes, everybody hates you. Everybody this, you're that, you. That's destructive, because honest to God, what that's going to do is send the person into their heads, and they're not going to hear another word you're saying. Constructive criticism is, hey, let's talk. There's this behavior I'm seeing, and, it might benefit you possibly to try this instead of that, because this is turning people off and this would actually draw people to you. Do you see where I'm going with that? It's constructive versus destructive. Narcissists cannot do constructive, and they always hide the smear campaign as, oh, I'm just giving you constructive criticism. Bullshit. It is not constructive criticism. It is just a way to tear you down. The other thing I wanted to point out is that they let you know that they're stalking you. So if you have an order of protection against one of these bozos and they send something like this, please contact the police and file a report immediately, because they're breaking the thing. And in a lot of orders of protection, you have the right to deal with the kids. Like, you can do things back and forth about the kids. But if your abuser comes back and does this diatribe about, I'm going to tell everybody what a horrible parent you are and this, that, and the other thing, and they're basically saying I'm stalking you because I'm watching all your blogs and all your videos and all this and your books and that, okay, call the police. It's time. They're so stupid. They're so arrogant. They think they're above the law, and they think that we are going to continue to fall for the manipulation and the fear. And they don't understand, when you get to the point where Susanna and I are, the fear has gone long down the road. It'll be there for a brief little moment when we go, oh shit, and we're reading this absolute crap on this, email or this text or whatever. But then once we ground ourselves and realize, I am not the problem. Hello, narcissists are not introspective. I've been doing nothing but searching soul work, inner child work, self-esteem work for, years now. So, and they haven't. So, okay, I'm over it. Do you see where I'm going? That's why I want you guys to work the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. That's why I want you to do the Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, because we get stuck in this routine of, I got to please him, I got to please him, I got to please him. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. And we got to remember who the hell we are. And that is just super important, because narcissists are not introspective. They're not ever going to question if they're the problem. Yeah. Never. My dad, famous for saying, I'm never wrong. I'm only temporarily confused. And I'm sitting here going, well, you've been temporarily confused for 85 years, fucker. So do you see where I'm going with that? It's like they never admit fault at all, or responsibility. They are unwilling to take responsibility. A healthy, normal person goes, yo, my bad. Here's where I'm responsible. Here's where you're responsible. I will accept this, but you have to accept your part, Whereas a narcissist is like, nothing is my fault. Everything is your fault. So, yeah. And
also, it's really a convenient, and I also want to share my reaction now compared to maybe years ago. But the other thing about a narcissist, the one of the things behind a smear campaign and the purpose is because, what I came to find out is that it conveniently shields the truth about them that they cannot let get out.
Right.
So, for example, the story, the narrative that I did know about me when I first left was that, and this was something that I shared in the piece that I recently wrote. You can find that on my Facebook page.
Which is, put the Facebook page up, guys. Thank you.
Call the smear campaign of a narcissist. But yeah, this was convenient. So the story he told of why I left was that poor guy, right? He went and cried, and usually to women in their houses, right? Who invited him over for dinner and baked them pies. The narrative was that I left him well, I wasn't happy. We already know in that small town.
Right.
I was already emotionally unstable. I was depressed, and I hated the town we lived in. So
According to
take
him.
all that
Yeah.
into consideration. And then I left him because I was having a steamy, sordid love affair with a man, and I chose to go move my kids near this man so I could continue my affair. Now, this conveniently left out the fact of why I left him, which is because I found out about his double life, and that he's a sexual predator, and that he was grooming young immigrant girls to stay in the country. Okay? This devastated me. This was heartbreaking enough. That's why I left. But the truth doesn't go well with pie. Right?
Or sex, for that matter. Ooh.
So
yeah,
that was convenient to cover that up. Same that he continued this smear campaign for the years after I left, while he was stalking me, cyber stalking me, following me, infiltrating every aspect of my life. There were restraining orders and criminal investigations and on and on and on. Meanwhile, he was just a guy whose wife left him for another man. Right?
Right.
Easy stuff. So here's my response now. And this is for all of you who are still back in the place where, years ago, I would have stayed there probably for days in a place like, am I the narcissist? Am I the fraud? Am I the problem? Am I really a bad mother? Am I hurting my kids? Am I alienating my kids? I was just basically, everything he's accusing me of doing. Is that what I'm really doing? Do I just suck? Should I just end it right now? And I would spend days self-reflecting and figuring it out and examining and talking to people and, all of that. Whereas now it took a minute, and I did question myself for a minute, and then I came back around, right? It didn't take that long. And then I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it some more, and I gave it some, I stepped away from the computer, stepped away from the email. Never answer back in the moment, people. I don't care what it's even about in life. Never answer back in the emotional moment, because you will regret 90% of what you say.
Yep.
So I stepped back, whatever. And then I answered. And I just said, thank you for giving me the heads up on what you're telling about me. I appreciate it, because I'm actually talking about this.
Yeah.
So there you have it. But he did admit to, he admitted to everything. He admitted that he's still reading all my stuff, following me online, doing what, whatever he does in his basement at 2 a.m. But I just don't want to downplay the fact of how heartbreaking this is,
right.
And how still after, all these years later, that I still have to deal with
You still get triggered, and you're going to, guys. I mean, it's like that moment where you go, is this true? Wait a minute. Let me analyze. Is this really going on? That's going to get shorter. I'm making new words now. Shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter as you heal. And that means doing the work. That means self-esteem. That means disease to please, working on the codependency. That means separating out fact from fiction, separating out grooming from reality. So
having good friends who tell you the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Surrounding yourself, which leads us into our question. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. How does one rebuild with new friendships and community after lifelong relationships were destroyed by the smear campaigns of the narcissist in our lives? Thank you to both.
I had to do exactly that. And it seemed impossible at the time. I will say that I was fortunate that I could leave the town I was living in. I could leave the state, actually, and I came back to Arizona, which is where I grew up, and came back to what was familiar. So I was really fortunate in that, because it made it a little bit easier. Now with social media and the internet, it doesn't make it that much easier. But But the point is that all these years later, that's exactly what I had to do, is I left everybody behind. I have no contact, well, maybe with one random person, but it's not even like, anyway, I have no contact. I lost my two closest friends who were unable to get off the fence and be 100% on my side. And that's what you need in these moments, right? You need people who are 100% on your side, who you feel safe with, who you have no doubt that, because that's what I would do for a friend, right? Like, no doubt. I'm not sitting on the fence and you know.
They're called mugwumps, okay? Friends who sit on the fence are mugwumps. This is a Ben Franklin saying. They've got their mug on one side and they've got their wump on the other. And in the crossfire, they're going to end up getting shot. So basically, they're going to lose because the person who is being smeared is going to recognize that there's this mugwump sitting on the fence trying to play both sides against the middle, and you're going to go, see where I'm going with that? Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
And it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking
because especially with even this could be even your own family members that you lose.
Absolutely.
That's what happened with me and my father.
Absolutely.
You know, so you know, just to answer your question, how do you do it? It takes time. It takes you going through hell and feeling the pain and feeling the heartbreak and grieving and mourning, and then letting people go, you know, seeing who just it comes down to, I learned how to ask these very basic questions of who to have in my life.
Right.
And in the beginning, this was really scary because I had all these people in my life before, right? It's like, what if I go over here and there's no people for me, right? What if I leave all these people and then I go here and there's no people? Don't worry about that, because once you look at this group, right, and you ask yourself some simple questions such as, do I feel safe with this person? Like, safe. Do I feel this person believes me? You know, compared to, why do I feel like shit when I leave this person's presence? Right. Why do I have to defend myself?
Right.
That is a huge red flag. If you're defending yourself, if somebody's asking you, well, why can't you just get over it? Why can't you just move on, or any of that? That's a huge red flag.
They're a monkey. They're a flying monkey.
Yeah, so people you feel safe with, and then what happens is like in my case, I left the town and left everybody behind because people made a conscious choice to still buy a ticket to his show and enable it and believe it. Those are not people that I want to have in my life. I want people who are there for me. So here's the wonderful thing, though, the beautiful thing, is you think you're going to go to know people over here, but actually, once you weed out all the toxic people that don't have your best interests at heart or your well-being at heart, this new door opens up, and all these fantastic people walk in.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the good news about that.
So here's something that I love to say to people: better to be alone for the right reasons, than surrounded by a bunch of toxic assholes for the wrong.
Yeah.
So rebuilding your friendships and your community is going to take time. And what it's going to take is you working on yourself. Again, I cannot stress this enough. It takes courage to go out, and self-esteem to go out, and non-codependency to go out and find a new community and a new group and a new friends. You got to do the things you love. Go do the things you love. Because oftentimes what an abuser will do is they will take those things and those people away from us. Yeah. So when you lose all of the bozos, go back to the things you love: painting, dancing, singing, whatever it is that you enjoy. Go meet people in that thing, and you will find your community. Now, this kind of nicely leads into the next question. Can you explain the difference between moving to a new place for a new start after the narc smear campaign versus a geographic, which is an AA thing? So in other words, people who are alcoholic have this crazy idea, well, if I just move, all my problems will stay in Ohio. No, they won't. All of your problems from Ohio will follow you out to California. So the difference is that when you are being smeared, generally the narcissist is also doing other things such as threatening, harassing, stalking, taking over your identity, cyber stalking, having you followed, all sorts of really dangerous stuff. And in those cases, you don't have much of a choice. You need to get the fuck out of there. You do. It's not safe. It's not safe. So you get as far away physically from the abuser as you can, especially if the abuser was physically abusive and was attempting to harm you physically, because those fuckers are psychotic. They're the dark triad, okay? So they're psychopath with narcissism, with Machiavellianism, which is control freak. And their whole thing is control, control, control. If you move away from them, they now no longer have control. And in a lot of cases, not all, but in a lot of cases, they'll give up interest because it's no fun anymore. They can't control you from 3 or 4 states over. So they'll go find another target. So,
and can I just add to that,
yeah.
that this is a victim blaming thing that people say. I had it said to me too, that the grass isn't greener somewhere on the other side, honey. If you can't be happy here, then you can't be, actually, that was what my ex used to say all the time. If you can't be happy here, right? That's just a victim blaming, because in a case such as, you know, if you're going to compare it to, like, you know, if somebody's an alcoholic, right, and they move from 3 states over, that the problem is within them.
It's in us.
It's in them.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So whereas this problem, when you're escaping a toxic person who has poisoned your environment,
right,
which means if you have children, you're going to continue to be traumatized by having to deal closely in close relation with this person. So absolutely moving to a new place for a new start. If you're able to do that, I recommend that to 100%. Everybody.
The problem is, though, is in a lot of cases, the judges are narcissists themselves, and they refuse to allow the target of abuse to move. And so then that forces and it can be male or female, guys. It's like the target of abuse can be male as well. And it forces that person to have to deal in close contact with the abuser. And especially if the abuser is harassing, making threats, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you have to file orders of protection. And you have to do it over and over and over and over again to protect yourself if you have to stay in that town, in that area. If you can move to another edge of the state and still stay in the same state, if they're saying, no, you can't leave the state, fine, fuckers, I'm going to go as far away from this person as I possibly can. Do you see where I'm going with that? So, and the other thing of it is too, is that judges they've got to be educated, guys. They don't understand how these people think. And some of them, like I said, are narcissists themselves. And they don't treat teenagers as if they have a brain in their head. It's like they're thinking that 18 is some magical number that suddenly the kid's going to, suddenly have all this ability to figure shit out. I hate to tell you, I have seen 13 and 12-year-olds that had more common sense than judges sitting on the benches here in Arizona. And so the kids usually will say, they'll go into a private chamber session with the judge and be like, for the love of God, I don't want to go with mom. I don't want to go with dad. Please don't make me. And the judge will still give 50-50 custody. And then lo and behold, it'll be a headline at AZ Central that the kid got the shit beaten out of him, or something horrible has happened, or they've disappeared. So, it just, don't get me started. So yeah, that's kind of what is going on with that. So it is difficult to start over again. It is not impossible, but it does take, really protecting yourself. So the difference again is that with alcoholism, the problem is us, guys. The problem is inside of us, and moving is not going to fix it. So if you don't work on you, no matter where you go, there you are. Name the movie. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, you put me on the spot.
Buckaroo Banzai. Buckaroo Banzai, one of my favorite movies. Anyway, okay. How to keep a smear campaign from subconsciously getting to you. I know the comments from family members are lies, but my subconscious redirects the guilt to work on other areas of my life.
Yeah, this shit infiltrates, right? Like, it doesn't matter how much work on myself I do. It doesn't matter how emotionally strong. I mean, I am so strong. But when it comes to things like dealing with my father, for example, and I think it's harder when it's your parents, when it's one parent or the other who are both who are smearing you, because it's like, because I'm a parent, first of all, and I'm like, who would ever do that to your own child?
Right.
So I have to tell you that, it was within, a year and a half that I was dealing with my father, love you, Dad, who became a character witness for my abusive ex and put forth these lies about me, which, and I hadn't even had really much of a relationship with them, but it was, I have to admit that it's tough. It's tough to take that in and then not let it affect you in other ways, because this is your parent. So it's not only triggering because you're remembering, like for me, my entire life of my father seeming to be against me and putting me down, and that's the reason I had low self-esteem and all those daddy issues I have.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough because it's just insidious. It gets into everything.
So what you have to do is you have to write go fuck you letters to the parent or the family members that are doing that. And I don't send them. Listen to me now, believe me later. Do not send them. What you're going to do is you're going to do the good. If there was anything good about them, there may not have been. The good, the bad, the ugly, the horrific, and at the very, very end, dear cousin Sally, fuck the fuckity fuck out of fucking fuck you bitch for siding with the fucking abuser, you goddamn flying monkey. Go fuck yourself sideways with an unlubricated baseball bat. Bam! See where I'm going with that? So, and then what you do is you trot it out to the barbecue, you read it out loud once, let your neighbors think you're nutty, and then burn it. Let it go. Because you can't change them. They are going to be who they are. But this is how you start working on your subconscious, is you reinforce that they're full of shit and you're not, you know, and you call it out. You call out the behavior. And then you write and burn, write and burn, write and burn. Let it go and recognize them for the flying monkeys, which means the minor narcissists that they are. So flying monkeys are one of two varieties. They are either just ignorant. They do not understand how a narcissist works, what the behavior is, what to watch out for, that people can and do behave like ass munches when they are narcissists, right? They just can't conceive of it. It's just like, well, they're nice people, so they can't conceive of anybody else doing that. The other ones are minor narcissists. In other words, they enjoy the drama. They enjoy being associated with somebody who is the greatest entertainment in a very small town. Oh my God, best thing since Barnum and Bailey. Do you see where I'm going with that? So they're either minor narcissists themselves or they're just ignorant to what an abuser does. Okay, let's see. Hang on. I hope that answered the question. So write and burn, write and burn, write and burn. The guilt is not yours. You don't need to feel guilty. Reinforce that you know what you're doing and that these people are not welcome. So there it is. I was diagnosed with C-PTSD and I got used to bizarre behavior. I now realize I can't discern people's intentions. Can this be healed? What can I do while I'm looking for my trauma expert? Okay, so here's the deal. We are trained, like brainwashed, groomed, okay, to accept the abnormal as normal, okay? So can you fix this? Yes, it can be healed. You have to start listening to your gut. Now, the problem of it is we as kids, when we had dysfunctional mom, dad, caregiver, whoever, sit there and lie, gaslight, whatever, and we could clearly see the pink elephant in the corner of the living room taking a large shit, and we would go, hey, pink elephant, and they would go, whap, no, you don't see that pink elephant. And eventually we got to the point where we were like, oh yeah, I can smell the pink elephant, but I can't see the pink elephant. There's no pink elephant. I don't see a pink elephant. Okay, so we've learned to disassociate from our gut. We've learned to stop listening to our gut because we got in trouble every single time we spoke up and said, hey, pink elephant taking a shit in the corner of the living room. So what you have to do is you have to start listening to your gut. That means reconnecting with your gut instinct. How do you do that? Okay, first of all, head and the heart tell stories. These guys are notorious. They tell stories. So it'll be a, well, yes, but this person, but you know, this behavior is really familiar. Maybe they're not that bad and da-da-da. So it's telling stories, right? If you go straight to your gut and go, is this person good for me? Yes or no? Quiet, yes or no. It'll give you a yes or no answer. There won't be any story and there won't be any upset with it. You've got to discern between the head and the heart, which loves drama and tells stories, and the gut, which is a simple yes or no answer to a yes or no question. And the way you start retraining yourself is you ask yourself yes or no questions that you already know the answer to. So for me, I don't like peanut butter. I don't know why. I think it's the texture. It's like the taste is great, but it's like the texture and I'm like, ugh. So if I ask my gut, do I like peanut butter? It is like a visceral, no, I don't. But if I ask my gut, do you like peanut butter cups? It is a, oh yes. Do you see where I'm going? It's like, it's a visceral thing. It's a physical thing. You can feel it. Okay. So you start with little yes or no questions that you already know the answer to, and then feel how that feels in your gut, in your body. So like when I think about peanut butter, I feel like throwing up. But when I think about peanut butter cups, I'm like, oh, yes, please. I like those. Yes. Do you see where I'm going? So there's a big difference. So that's how you start discerning. So that's really important. It can be healed. What you can do is you need to start working on you. So I would get C-PTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. We need to start working on those mistaken thoughts, mistaken beliefs that you believe are true that are not. So writing out the bizarre behavior. So write it out versus, is this what healthy people do? No, it's not. Well, what is healthy behavior? Well, I'm not really sure. So then you start investigating, well, what is healthy behavior? I did a whole series of videos on what healthy behavior looks like, what a good relationship looks like. And I also did a whole series of videos on red flags to watch out for. So go watch those, and that's going to help start, discerning which is which. So C-PTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. You want to get the Glenn Schiraldi, the Self-Esteem Workbook. You want to get The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, or you can get Codependent No More and Beyond Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie. You can also get the Inner Child Workbook. The Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. So I'm going to warn you now, the C-PTSD one and the Inner Child Workbook are going to trigger the living crap out of you. So just be prepared. So when it gets overwhelming or too much, put it down, but for the love of God, go back to it. So the biggest mistake I see people make is that they walk right up to it and they start getting into it, and then it triggers them, and then they go, no, I don't want to feel it, I don't want to feel it, I don't want to feel it. Well, okay, listen to me now, believe me later. You got to feel it to heal it, guys. The whole reason that these people would not allow us to acknowledge or admit that there was a pink elephant in the living room is they didn't want us to feel. They wanted us to shut down and be automatrons and just do whatever they wanted us to do. We have to feel. We have to feel it to heal it. It's okay. You're safe. Write it out. Journal. It's okay for me to feel. So when you're doing the mirror work, this is another thing you can do. Wake up in the morning. Hi, good to see you. Have a wonderful day. It's okay for you to recognize dysfunctional behavior and to recognize functional behavior. Give yourself permission. That is the big thing. They've taken our permission away from us. So give yourself permission to see, to know, to feel. Does that make sense?
To feel it.
Yeah.
I have to say that I can remember those days like it was yesterday, where the pain would be so bad and I had nobody to talk to, and maybe something I just found out about or something else happened or whatever it was. And I was still so deep in just the heartbreak of having, first of all, my life was stolen from me without my consent, right? Like I didn't sign up for this to find out about a double life or anything.
Right.
And having to start all over and all the challenges with that, and then watching my kids go through pain, it was just never ending. And there were days when I would be on the floor, knowing somehow instinctually, I knew that I needed to just stay there and feel it. It was very tempting. I actually used to wish that I could drink myself. I can't because I get really sick and I can't even do it. And now I'm a lightweight. But I used to wish for that. I wanted to have something take away the pain in the moment, and nothing did. I learned my lesson the hard way. So I realized instinctually that, okay, I'm just going to sit here with it. And I tell you what, there were days when I used to go and sit in my little meditation pose on the floor and, in my hands, just tears, just collecting just until the water ran out of my body. And I would pull myself up sometimes after hours on the floor. I would pull myself up to the mirror. And the mirror was really important to me because when I was in the marriage, especially the last 5 or 6 years, I was like, who the fuck is that? Because I don't even know that woman. Who is staring back at me? Yeah. So the mirror was really important. And I would crawl up, pull myself up and my, red, swollen, tear-stained face. And I would just tell myself, I'm like, you got it. You got this. You're strong enough. You're going to get through this. It hurts now, but it's not going to hurt someday.
Right.
So that's the important thing, is just plow through it. I promise I'm the poster girl for getting to the other side.
Me too. So, you know, it's not a one and done, guys. It takes time and it takes work. And I posted something today where it was like an artist, you know, and the person was like, oh, your art's amazing. Yeah, it takes practice, the artist said. And then, well, it must be a natural gift. No, it takes practice. Right. Well, wow, you're really talented and it's a God-given gift. No, it takes practice. So like with anything, you have to do the work. You're not going to get it from osmosis. I wish you would. I wish you could like watch these videos and we could wave a magic wand and everything would be better. You got to do the work. You got to do the work. That's the only way out is through. Yeah. Basically, and you got to feel it. Okay, so next question. Where am I? Whoops, there it is. Why would an abuser sometimes pretend like they want to be a good parent? I'm gonna let you take that one.
Oh my God, do I have stories? Here's the interesting thing, is that of course I didn't know it at the time. I didn't even know when I was in the marriage. I didn't know what a narcissist was, or I had heard the term. I thought it was somebody who, you know, looked in the mirror a lot. Just knew from the myth. I didn't know anything, even what was happening to me at the time. I didn't know why I was sick all the time. I didn't know why I felt crazy. I didn't know any of this. I didn't know anything about emotional abuse, or I used to just wish that he would hit me. I do remember that, because I'm like, then I would have a black eye, or, you know, broken bone, bruise, something that I could go to people and say, see, I am hurting. Right. So I couldn't understand it's why, he would, as far as our children, right? Because when I was in the marriage, he made it very clear when I discovered his double life, and just that emboldened me to, you know, challenge him to rise to be somebody better, right? And I'll never forget when he told me, he said, you know, because I said, you're never interested in our kids. You're not interested in me. You haven't been for years. I had to do all the, you know, he was there for the fun stuff and to put them on his ornaments when we were out in public. Like, look at my 3 children. And I did everything. He never went to school, you know, meetings and check grades or home, nothing.
Yeah.
And he was very frank. He told me, he said, you know, I just lost interest in my family. And I'm like, Then the funny thing is that then I left. And then once I filed for divorce, bang, it was an explosion of interest. Oh, yeah. All of a sudden he's like, I love my kids and I want to be a great dad. And
I'm going to be parent of the year.
I'm going to be all of this.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm living in another state with our children. And ever since then, so now it's been, 7 years. Ever since then, doesn't have any involvement with school, with their life, with the dream, with anything.
Right.
But dang it, you can bet he's telling everybody, of course, what a bad mother I am and what a great
dad he is.
What a great father he
is. And moms do this too, guys. So it's, they know they're not good. They know it. They somehow, on some level, they know it. And so they want, however, everyone to buy their Kool-Aid, to drink their Kool-Aid and tell them what a great parent they are. So they will pretend and they'll do that. So basically the same thing with my dad. It's like when I was doing acting, right? Because I used to act. And so when I was getting attention for that, oh, he claimed me. Absolutely. I was his, golden child daughter. But then the second I didn't get a role or I didn't make him look good, it was back to me being the scapegoat or my other sister being the scapegoat and then the other one being the golden child. They're cuckoo for freaking Cocoa Puffs. It's all ego driven. Children are not accessories. Children are not something that you can hang on your arm and pull out when you want to. Children are a lifelong commitment, and narcissists cannot commit to jack diddly squat, let alone a kid. So they will do that. They will claim the kid is theirs and be the good parent or pretend to be the good parent or do the whole thing. But then as soon as that kid has a real issue, or for example, when my mom finally said, hey, Chris is in counseling, my dad looked at her and said, no, she's not, and then cut off the money for me to go to counseling because he couldn't deal with the fact that his child wasn't, quote unquote, perfect. I so wish he was alive so he could see this shit now. Damn. Anyway.
Somebody tell my dad to watch.
Yeah, right. So that's why they pretend, is because they can't deal with the truth. And so they want everyone to reflect back to them what a great parent they are, even when they're not. It's just like when they've said these horrible things, smear campaigns, and yet they'll be like, well, but I'm a wonderful ex. I don't understand why they don't like me. It's like, no, you're not. Fuck off. So they're crazy.
And they're also armchair quarterbacks.
Yep.
As far as parenting.
What you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
It's like, sit back and they have no involvement or whatever else, but damn if they don't tell you exactly everything that you're doing wrong.
Right. Exactly. So, hi, Nancy. Hello, my love. So good to hear from you. Okay, where the hell are all the wonderful people? They are out there, guys. And here's the thing, though. You've got to remember, the inner child will go for what's familiar, and it won't be a conscious thing. It's not like you wake up in the morning and go, hey, I would really love to surround myself with a bunch of fucking assholes. No, that's not what we do. But the inner child goes, oh, that person reminds me some level of mom, dad, caregiver, teacher, ex, whatever. And we are attracted to that because it is familiar. So you've got to get into the habit of what is a healthy relationship? What constitutes a wonderful person? So a wonderful person is honest, open, authentic, truthful, filled with integrity, is there, is present, is in the moment. They're not living in their head. They're not in the past. They're not in the future. They're here and now. And yeah, there are wonderful people out there. You just got to work on yourself, and then you go out and you find them. And you do that by doing things you love. I cannot stress that enough. Go do what you love, and the wonderful people will show up. That really is true.
And I think what surprised me was that of how few wonderful people I need in my life to be really happy.
Yeah.
I just need
like a handful. Like, seriously, it's like you just need a handful. You don't need scads of them. You just need a handful, friends that you can go hang out with, or the friend that you can call on when you need a shoulder to cry on, or, and then you switch roles. It's not like always one person doing that. So it's just a handful. You don't need a whole bunch, but you do need friends. So, and it is important to go find them. And one thing I've heard over and over again is, oh my God, I'm too old. I can't find them. It's, blah, 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 bullshit. They're out there. I'm 55. I make new friends wherever I go. Why? Well, one, I'm an extrovert, and two, I'm mouthy, and three, it's like I like meeting people, And if one turns out to be kind of toxic, it's like, okay, note to self, don't have your email. Okay, there we go. Do you see where I'm going with that? So it's like you just put yourself out there. Are you going to get rejected? Yes, rejection is going to happen, and you just kind of got to go, their loss. Okay, moving on. So yeah, they are out there. They are, and it's wonderful to meet new people, and it's good to meet new people, and it's great to get the different experiences of healthy people. So that's one thing that I love, is when like clients sit on my couch and they're like, oh, this is weird. I'm like, what do you mean? And well, I met this person and they're healthy and I don't quite know how to behave. Great, take notes. What are they doing right? It's like, it's good. It's good to get out and meet new people. So they're out there. We're out there. We're out there. We're totally out there. All right, let's see what else we have. My BPD ex-girlfriend went through a lot in her life. I put up boundaries, and she always made me feel like I was a bad person for doing it. She loved being a victim that I had to save. Even after she left, I felt responsible for her pain. How do I get past this? Okay, so you've got to remember, when somebody is disordered and they're committed to being the victim, people with a personality disorder, when they are further down the line, not talking traits of, guys, not talking I'm talking like when they're like on the way to malignancy, okay? They need the drama triangle. And so somebody has to be the savior, somebody has to be the victim, and somebody has to be the audience for all this bullshit. So they love to make somebody their savior. And what they refuse to take responsibility for is that they are responsible for their own saving. Somebody put it perfectly the other day here in the comments. I just laughed my ass off. It's like, you don't want a knight in shining armor because it might turn out to be an ass hat and tinfoil. And I was like, I like that. So the thing of it is you are your own savior. So somebody who's looking for a savior, that's not fair. It's not your job. It's not your job. It's not your job to save somebody. What you do is you teach them everything you know, and either they are willing to pick up the tools that you have taught them and use them, or they're just going to sit there with the tools in front of them and go, I'm a victim. I don't have any tools. Well, they're in front of you. I don't see the tools. And that's what I see them do. So they don't like boundaries. No, they don't. Because when you put up a boundary to a borderline, especially when they're further down the line, it feels like abandonment to them. And that, again, is their problem, not yours. Healthy, normal people, when a boundary comes up, go, oh, okay, boundary, got it. Back it off. Sorry, didn't mean to offend. I will be cognizant of that boundary and not cross it. Whereas with a borderline, it's like, you don't love me. You're abandoning me. Why are you doing this? Da, 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 da. And then they just hammer in that you're the problem. Whereas, no, it's their problem because they're not respecting the boundary. A good book for you would be The Borderline Survival Guide by Chapman and Gratz, just to understand exactly what is going on in the mind of a borderline. The problem with, as it gets further down the line, is it has traits of all 10 major personality disorders, and it borders on psychotic thinking. And their thinking is very scattered, disordered, word salad all over the place. And when they get an idea in their head, it's very hard for them to unloosen their jaws and accept new information. So read that book. The other one that's really great is Stop Walking on Eggshells by Randy Krieger, both the book and the workbook. You are not responsible for her pain at all. She should be in DBT, dialectic behavioral therapy. She should be taking responsibility for her own life and her own actions and saving her own ass, because that's what grown-ups do. And you get past it by really working on the codependency. So Codependent No More and Beyond Codependent No More, both by Melanie Beattie. You can read the Harriet Breaker book. I love that book, but she has a tendency to kind of bag on men. I don't like that. But, you still can get good stuff out of it. So anyway, there's that. Do you have anything else to add?
If I could that just remind me of something and just put a spin on this thread as far as with narcissists, is that I hear this a lot from my clients in the beginning, is that they think, well, this, my spouse or partner or whoever, I feel sorry for him because he or she had a bad childhood. I used to say that about my ex, right? Like, he had a bad childhood. This happened to him, this happened to him, this happened to him. So we start feeling sorry for them. And the fact is that nobody's bad childhood makes them become an abuser. That is a choice.
That is a total choice.
And the other thing is that abusers know what the fuck they're doing. Narcissists know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
I want to shout it from the rooftops. They know exactly
what
they're doing. And also, I grew up, I actually had a great childhood in spite of my abusive father. But a lot of us have the same, stories where we have either trauma in our childhood or whatever, and we don't grow up to be narcissists, and we don't grow up to abuse people. And
Yep. So you've got to, it's not your job. It's not your job. And I suspect there's a lot of codependency going on. I suspect there probably is something in your past, in your childhood, where you were the caregiver a lot, and that's got to be worked on. So get with a good trauma therapist and work on the codependency. That would be your best bet. Write and burn letters. Dear ex, not my job. I quit. I resign, and I refuse to feel guilty. Any relationship that induces fear, obligation, or guilt, fog, is an unhealthy relationship. Remember that. Put that on the mirror. Remember that. Okay. I want to stay with my husband, but his daughter, now 15, is a pathological liar, saying I am abusive and blaming me for her cutting. Dissociative identity disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. What can he say to her to make her stop? So I'm assuming that this is a stepdaughter, possibly. That's a sticky wicket. The only thing that can happen is that I would suggest family therapy with a DBT therapist, seriously. And it's like, lay it all out. And your spouse has got to be on the same page. So allowing a child, even though they're 15, to lie is not good. The DID and the PTSD, it's interesting. Where did that come from? I'm not sure what's going on with that. Is that from the mom? Is that from, what's going on? I don't have enough information. But basically, you're looking to the dad to make it all stop. But really what it's going to take is a whole family system. So I would suggest family therapy. And if that doesn't do it, then you're going to have to look at other options. So, and I don't have enough information to really advise you on that. So Susanna, anything?
Yeah, it would have to be like what side is her husband on? What? Yeah.
Where did
There's
the
a whole
trauma
lot of-
come from? When did the child first start dissociating? When did the cutting start? I mean, there's so much going on here. It would
Yeah.
really, is this kid projecting onto you what is really going on with the mom? I don't know, so it really, there's too much going on. I would say family therapy with a DBT therapist that knows what they're doing, one that has been in the field for years, that has gone through their own DBT therapy, and that has got good recommendations. Okay, so do you want to keep going with questions, or are you good? Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. All right. Let the good times roll, people. I'll take the next question. So more on smear campaigns while I'm waiting for Chris to put up the next question. They are insidious, and they count on people not talking about the
Yes.
abuse. So what they want is for us to shut up, basically, is what they want. And you can't do that. You've got to be vocal. You've got to speak your truth and not be afraid. And they want us to be afraid. That is their big thing, is they control through fear. So when you are being manipulated or smeared by an abuser, loud and proud to the rafters until the people in the back can hear, and you share the heck out of these videos. You educate as many people as you possibly can. You get the word out. You share Susanna's videos. You read her book. Where's her book? Hello, this book. That you're still that girl. You get it on Audible. You educate. So because that's the one way that we are going to survive this, because narcissists are like cockroaches. They don't like this.
I was just saying that.
Yeah, they don't like the light
showing up,
being shined on them. And as soon as you shine the light on them, they scurry off to the edges. So yeah, I have this weird feeling that I'm not in the moment for years, just not in my own life. I have intrusive thoughts that I'm old and have wasted all my time. What is this? That's identity dissociative. That's dissociative identity disorder. So when we're not in the moment, where are we? We're in our heads. So we're kind of checked out. We're not present. So it's really important that you get with a good trauma therapist, because usually dissociative identity disorder is a result of trauma. So being not in the moment is being in our heads and not really living our lives. Is it all a waste of your time? No, it's not. Being old, that is a privilege denied to many. So enjoy your old age. Seriously. And people think they're old when they're in like their 30s or their 40s, or, oh my God, I'm 29, I'm old. It's like, bitch, I'm 55. It's like, life has just begun. Shut the hell up. So it's like, seriously, old age, being old, aging is a privilege denied to many. If you watch some of the videos coming out of China right now, it's scaring the living fuck out of me, because it looks like something out of The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand. You see healthy people walking down the street just suddenly keeling over, or people that look healthy. So, it's never a waste of time. Everything is a learning process. I spent years of my youth in my head hating myself, okay? If I just focused in on that and said, oh my God, what a waste of time, and now I'm 55, and oh my God, and I'm old, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, okay, that's now a waste of time, because you're not living your life. You can live your life at any point in time you want to, but you must deal with the trauma. So it sounds to me like the intrusive thoughts that you're old and you've wasted all your time. No, you're learning. You're learning. This is a learning experience. This is a learning process. Earth is a learning school. That's why we are here, is to learn. So you're learning. Nothing is wasted, but it is time to go get with a good trauma therapist and figure out what the intrusive thoughts are about. That is a part of PTSD. Intrusive thoughts are a part of PTSD. So we've got to figure out why. Why is that happening? So get with a good trauma therapist. EFT would be really good. Marsha Diane does EFT. She's here in Chandler, and she's a really good one. EMDR is another good one. So yeah, it's dissociating. You're dissociating is what it sounds like. Now, again, it's what it sounds like. I don't know. I don't have you in front of me, but I would definitely get with a good trauma therapist and figure out what it is. Change your thoughts. So when the intrusive thoughts pop in, oh, I'm old. Thank you for your input. Shut the fuck up. Why? Because you say so. I am what I am. And it's a privilege denied to many. And I say this. Why? Because I am the boss. You are not the boss, thought. I am the boss. And it's okay for me to be old. And it's okay for me to have been in my head for a while because now I'm changing it. So fuck off. And you got to be the boss of it. You got to be the boss of it. Susanna, anything you want to add to that?
I'm saying that turning 50, now I'm 51, and I feel like a baby that I'm starting my second stage of life. But what's great about this is I don't have to relearn how to walk or relearn or learn how to do any of that shit. Like I know it all now.
Right.
So I know, especially for women, it's, you know, aging is so hard on us because of society telling us that we're useless past the age of 25. I get it. I think we're actually way more useful because if y'all remember yourselves at 20, 25, right?
I was a doofus.
I know. I didn't have much to offer.
It's like, what? Why am I here?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I am scared to go to counseling with my covert NPD husband who says he wants to do better. No, don't go. Don't go. Absolutely don't go. So it is dangerous to go to a counselor with an abuser. If you know they're an abuser, you know they're covert, you know they're NPD, do not do it. Do not abort. Don't do it. And what happens for me when I realize that I've got a narcissist, and usually the combination is a narcissist and PTSD, narcissist and borderline, they love to feed off of that person. And so they will go into the session and they will pretend to be all sunshine and roses and they're perfect and their spouse is all the problem. And then I start figuring out, oh, wait a minute, there's abuse going on here. And I try to screen them. I do. Is there verbal abuse going on? Is there physical abuse going on? Is there financial abuse going on? What's driving you into counseling, that kind of thing. And of course they lie. Oh no, everything, we just have communication issues. No, you don't. So as soon as I figure out that there is abuse going on, I stop the session cold. I send one out. I talk to one, it's like, what's going on? And then they'll usually tell me the truth. And I'll say, okay, I'm not doing couples counseling with you. I can't ethically. I can't, and I won't, and then I'll bring the other one in and take the other one out and okay. And I'll listen to their lives. And then I'll bring the two of them back together and I'll say, okay, I think it would be better if you two went and got individual therapy first. And then you can talk about doing couples, because they'll never, the narcissist will never. And if they do, they'll go to somebody that will never deal with their particular personality disorder. You don't want to go. It's dangerous because what they'll do is you'll be real, you'll be authentic, you'll be you, and you'll be bringing up all the real true issues, the verbal abuse, the gaslighting, the word salad, the financial abuse, the, whatever. And then what they will do is out in the parking lot, why did you say that? You said such and such, and they will just hammer you with it for the next week or two until you come back to the counseling session, and they'll threaten you. Don't you dare tell our counselor anything. So don't. Yes, the counselor will definitely misinterpret. Yeah, if they don't know their stuff, if they have not dealt with abusers before, and there's a hell of a lot of counselors out there that don't know it. Why? Because it was not taught. When I was going through school in 2003 to 2005, they refused. They not just didn't teach it, they refused. We asked, our group asked, we were like, well, why aren't we talking about domestic violence? Why aren't we talking about personality disorder? Well, it's a hot button topic. And the ACA and the APA are thinking about getting rid of the person. This was over 10 years ago that they were doing this. So it's a disservice. It's a disservice to the counselors out there. It's a disservice to the general population out there. And it makes it very dangerous for people that are in abusive relationships, because you go to a counselor thinking that they have the training for how to deal with these jackwagons. They don't, unless they have specialized in domestic violence, trauma, etc. And even then, sometimes you will find the victim blaming amongst them if they are fucking humanists, which are like, oh, no, narcissists, personality disorders. We don't want to hurt their little feelings. We don't want to hurt them. And I'm just sitting here going, bitch, do you understand that this person is being damaged to the core because of this fucking abuser? Fuck you. Get out of my profession. Fuck you. Do you see where I'm going with that? All of the humanist counselors can just go fuck themselves sideways at this point, because they are harming the targets of abuse, and they are victim blaming, and they're siding with the abuser. So yeah, and absolutely, they could write in their notes things that could be used against you later. Don't fucking go. Don't do it. Don't do it. If your relationship is to the point where you're, afraid of it being used against you later, get the fuck out. What are you staying for? Save yourself. This is a no-win situation. Be careful. Be very, very careful. Susanna?
Well, also, you're already being traumatized by your abuser, by a narcissist. And I'm speaking from experience, is that I was re-traumatized while being traumatized by my husband at the time when we went to a marriage counselor, therapist, who in every single session, gave us the book, the love languages.
The 5 love languages, yeah.
Okay, that's not a book to
That's
give
not.
a person with a narcissist, telling me that I have to be more affectionate or that
Mhm.
what I have to do and what my role is. That re-traumatized me all over again. And especially when the day where he did his homework, I didn't because I was dealing with his abuse at home.
Right.
And she gave him a gold star. I'm not shitting you. She used to, yeah, she has little kids. So
Oh
she got
my
extra gold
God.
stars at home.
Wow.
But funny story, when I was asking myself after this lovely email yesterday, when I was wondering, am I the narcissist? Wait a second. Then I remembered when we did actually find a psychologist who was an expert on narcissistic personality disorder in our first session. He was interviewing us, and in that first session, I was like, "Oh, here he goes. My ex goes again. Just tell the story. I'll just sit here silent." The psychologist calls us afterwards, says, "I won't see you together." I didn't know why. So I went in on my first session. On the first session, he saved my life because he told me, "Your husband is a narcissist. He's never going to change. He doesn't see you as a human being. The pain he has caused you and your children, he will never be able to make up for that. Not that he is going to try."
No.
Now, the funny thing was, and that was the incentive to, after discovering the double life, for me to leave. But months and months later, my ex went back, scheduled a session with this psychologist. And at first it was like, wow, is he going back? Is he going to work on himself? Is he going to change? No, he went back for the sole reason to threaten the psychologist to take away his narcissist diagnosis. Now, if that doesn't tell you who the narcissist is.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They think they're above the law. They think they're omnipotent. They think they can do all sorts of things. So yeah, they're crazy. Okay, I hope that answered the question. Please save yourself. What if family/friends recognize the smear campaign for what it is, but still enable the narcissist? This seems to be in conflict, right? They are flying monkeys.
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words. If somebody recognizes the smear campaign for what it is and still has enabling stuff for the abuser, they are a flying monkey. They have shown you who they are. Be done. Be done. You don't need that. Anything else?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't use any of your precious healing energy, the energy that you need for healing and recovery. Do not use any of that energy to try to convince anybody about the truth.
Yep. No, because you can't.
You can't.
You can't. You know, people who know you. And again, if they are willing to believe the worst of you, absent any evidence, showing that, yeah, you really are this person, and they're just taking the word of the abuser, then they are not your tribe. Be done. All right. And this person says, sorry, totally off topic. Sex was used against me a lot throughout childhood. How do I deal with this and not feel like rejecting my body? Okay, so this is something that a lot of abusers do, especially to kids, is that they shame us for having human bodies. I don't know why. A lot of them are communal narcissists, and they use the religion and things like that. So basically what it is, you get with a good therapist and you start working on accepting your body and accepting that you're human and accepting that you feel and accepting that you are a sexual creature and that it is okay. And that you are practicing safe sex and that you are honest and open and good with yourself and with your partners. So yeah, that is a common thing in dealing with abusers who have kids, is that they shame them for being sexual. Why? Because the abusers have got weird thoughts. The abusers have got weird ideas about sex. They are uncomfortable with it. And how dare you enjoy yourself? So yeah. Don't feel bad about asking off topic every once in a while. That's okay. What about money sets them off with the gaslighting, word salad, etc. And that's exactly
why I
what
got
happened.
this.
Yeah.
Just a simple question about money. Not even money that it was money that was in my son's name that I was asking, could he have it? That's it.
That's it.
And it set him off.
So with narcissists, remember, everything is an object to them. People are objects to them. So we have no more meaning to them than, this cup. And for money, though, they assign money a meaning that it does not have. So a healthy, normal person is able to go, money is money. Money is a means to an end. That's it. There is no emotional connection or charge to it. To an abuser, though, money is everything. It is their God. It has meaning. It means that they are successful. It means that they are secure. It means that they are omnipotent or powerful. It means that they are fabulous and should be respected. It has all this meaning assigned to it that it does not have. And so when somebody, you've got kids, they're supposed to be paying child support. So when somebody reminds them you haven't paid the child support, they come unglued because the money has all of this meaning to it that the people in their lives should have had. Money is valuable. Money is, I need them. I love money. So it's like they love this thing, but they don't love the people in their lives. And they would rather their kids go without shoes, go without food, go without clothing, go without shelter, than to spend any of their precious money. And this goes for male and female abusers. They're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs when it comes to money. It means something to them, and their sick and twisted little minds that normal people do not make it mean. So when the spouse, has to ask for child support, or, hey, can you please take the child to the doctor, whatever, they will do somersaults to not spend said money because it has a meaning to them that is not here in the real world. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, Susanna, this is your question. For Susanna, do you need a degree or certificate to be a life coach? What made you decide to be a life coach instead of a counselor?
Good question. Okay, so you don't need a specific anything to call yourself a life coach. I don't really I don't use that term life coach. If you're, I am an abuse recovery coach. It's very specifically with narcissistic abuse. And so there's two parts of my, what I tell people. So there's the actual credentials. Okay. I have 2 bachelor's degrees. The one just got, so speaking to whoever asked the too old question, a month ago, I just graduated with my 2nd bachelor's degree at the age of 51.
Good.
And that's in women and gender studies. So that's all that I do in my counseling. And I'm also a board certified holistic health coach. So those are my certifications. Here's what I have. I have the street cred that you cannot get a PhD for. And what I mean by that is that I have been through narcissistic abuse, been through emotional abuse, coercive control with not 1, but 2 husbands, and having a father who is abusive. I have done like, just checking all the boxes as far as making all the mistakes, going through a punishing divorce, being stalked, being cyber stalked, being followed, all of that, and then some. Being diagnosed with C-PTSD, being diagnosed with anxiety, becoming a completely different woman than I used to be, and going through the healing and recovery process. I made every single mistake there was to make, both in divorce and custody issues, and not only that, but just healing and stuff like that. And the very basic, every mistake, like I said, there was to make, I made it. So I got to the point where once I pulled myself fully out of that hole, because that's how I always see it. I see that we're in the darkness, right? We can't see the light because the hole is too deep. And we're the only ones who can pull ourselves out. Nobody else can pull us out. We've got to pull ourselves out. So as I'm crawling out and I'm starting to see the light, then I can see the light, but I'm still got 1 foot stuck in the hole. And then fully pulling myself out of that darkness and getting to a place where, like I've shared here today, that I'm still dealing with these things. I still have children with a diagnosed narcissist, and I have to deal with these things on a regular basis. But finding the success and getting to a place of emotional freedom where I am today what it became my life's purpose and mission. This wasn't something in high school. I was like, I think I want to go through like 35 years of abuse so that I can be a coach later. But it just sort of, it happened organically. My purpose found me. What I do found me, because the way that I got out of that hole was by listening to and hearing the voices of the courageous others. In my case, hearing other women who told their stories of how they pulled themselves out of the darkness and got further down the road. And so I heard them. And then when I got to a place, I wanted to pay it forward for those still struggling in the darkness. I see it like, you know, when you're in it, when you're in the darkness, you're drowning, and somebody needs to throw you a life preserver, right? So somebody threw me a life preserver. I still have to pull myself out, right? I can't just lay there. So I have to be actively participating in my own healing and recovery. But then I just got to a place where I'm like, hey, I know so many things about how the one great thing, the only good thing I'll say about narcissists is they all behave the same.
Yes.
They all behave the same. They behave the same in divorce, with their kids, with custody, with smear campaigning, with gaslight, everything. They behave exactly the same. Mm-hmm. So I have that perspective and insight because I know what it takes to get yourself out of it. Not only that, and this is really hard to find, like she was just saying about how hard it is just to find a therapist who understands.
Right.
We wish all therapists were like Chris, then the world would be a better place.
Yes.
But because it was so hard, what I did is I based my work on what I needed at the time. Because nobody back then, I thought I was all alone. Nobody understood me. I kept getting victim blamed for my circumstance and for my situation. And all I needed was somebody just to hold my hand and say, I've been there. I understand you. And guess what? I'm going to hold your hand and keep a hold of your hand as you come into the light. Right. So that's how I found my purpose. What I compare myself, like I said, life coaches, with life coaching, the problem and the stigma is that because there's no specific certification, people are like, well, maybe you're, a snake oil salesman and whatever. But the fact is like Chris just mentioned, is that you can have your PhD and you can have your master's and you can't still know shit about what a person who is a victim of narcissistic abuse has gone through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, the thing of it is too, is that it depends on, how much money you're willing to put into becoming a counselor. Because for me, it was a 2-year degree and then another, 6 months of the practicum and then another year of the internship, and you're getting paid like goose egg, and if you've got kids, you don't have time to do that. You don't have the resources to do that. I was blessed in that I had the time and the resources to do that. Plus the fact I'm one of these crazy people that loves to learn. So if I had unlimited funds, I'd go back and get my, PhD, but I don't. So, it depends on how quickly you want to get out into the field and start helping people. And this is also why I am bringing in life coaches from all over the place to hook everybody up so that everybody is like, yeah, okay, been there, done that. We are all on the same page. We can help as many people as we possibly can. The beautiful thing about life coaching is that she can go across state lines. She can go across state lines. She can go across international lines. She can coach people where I cannot. So I am limited to Arizona, which really sucks ass. And I wish the board would fucking catch up with the 21st century. But since I cannot do that, this is your girl, her and Sarah Picaro. Okay. These two are your girls. Okay. So life coaching does not mean lesser than. Okay. I just want to make that perfectly clear because I trust Susanna 110%. So there it is.
I have a good analogy. Let's say that you were, let's say you find out you have cancer, right? And so you can have a combination of, you can go to a doctor who knows about, like has gone to medical school to learn about cancer, but has never had cancer himself, right? And you can also go to somebody who has had cancer and possibly healed themselves or use their experience to get healthy and get well, right? So you also want to know what they're doing. Right. So one of the things that is specific to what I do is that because I've been there, I know what it's like. I know the obstacles. I know the challenges. I know what you face. I know what's going to happen in a divorce and a custody issue. Right. but I don't have the emotional attachment that somebody going through it does.
Right.
Right. When you're in it, like when I used to be in, I couldn't think clearly.
Right.
I was so emotionally attached still.
Right. And triggered.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have somebody
Yeah.
who's been there, done that, you know, sort of acting as the voice of your higher self,
Right.
you know, until you can have that clarity again. So somebody who can come in and go, hey, you know, just give you that perspective and insight that's really difficult to have when you're hurting.
Absolutely. I think we're going to make this one our last question. Question: does PTSD or dissociative disorder happen from being around a narc for a long period of time? Yes, absolutely it does. Absolutely. When we are being abused all the time, all the time, all the time. So what it's called, okay. So PTSD is generally a one-time event. You see something that is life-threatening. You're threatened. Your life is being threatened. Something's happened. You're in a car accident. You're at war. You see a train accident. You know, those are causes of PTSD. You see something traumatic that could have killed you, or that's killed somebody else, or you've seen somebody else get killed. Those will cause PTSD. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder is when the abuse is happening over and over and over and over. And it may not be threatening your life, so to speak, but it is soul killing. They're telling you you're worthless and stupid and ugly and a fraud and this, that, and the other thing. And it's constant. It's like Chinese water torture. So after being around that for a very, very, very long time, our self-esteem is like toast. It's like light it on fire and throw some kerosene on it. Oh my God, it's toast. And so we have flashbacks, we have nightmares, we're irritable, we're stressed out, we've got anxiety, we've got social anxiety, we've got all of this stuff going on. We may still be being attacked by flying monkeys. So yeah, absolutely, we get PTSD from this. Part of PTSD too can be dissociating. Because remember, when we're being attacked, we check out. You can see it happen in people's eyes. They're like, the lights are on and the engine's running, but they're not there. And it's a way to stay safe. It's a way to not get harmed. It's a way to have to put up with it, but not really have to put up with it. And it's something that happens when we have been in abuse. So yes, absolutely. If you are experiencing PTSD symptoms, go onto the Mayo Clinic, look up PTSD. Read up on those symptoms. If you are experiencing those symptoms and dissociative identity disorder, yes, go please get with a good trauma therapist. Go see somebody that does EFT. Go see somebody that does EMDR. Go see somebody that does CBT. Absolutely, you want to do that. Okay, I think we are going to call it good for today. So anyway, I want to say thank you to Susanna Quintana, SusannaQuintana.com. That is where you want to go. She's also on Facebook. Please, please, please go pick up her book. You are still that girl. And that is going to be available at Barnes & Noble. Yeah?
Yeah, starting May 5th.
Starting May 5th, Barnes & Noble, but you can pick up the Kindle for free.
Ebook on my website.
Ebook on your website.
Yep. Audiobook next on Valentine's Day. So go to my Facebook page.
Go to her Facebook page.
Send me a friend request.
Yep. There you go. She is your girl. Also, Sarah Picaro is amazing as well. I love them both. I think they're awesome. All right. Remember, there is going to be no show next week. I will be in Honolulu on Saturday the 22nd. So please sign up for that. Go to Eventbrite. Do that. Remember, no cruise, coronavirus, yay. So have a great week, guys. I've got some suggestions for shows. If you have suggestions for shows, please send them to me. them to me on either the We Need to Talk page or on the Chris Godinez LPC page. If you want to connect with me more personally, the LPC page is the one. I put up houses and Victorian dresses and all sorts of stuff. The psychological one is the We Need to Talk. So anyway, there is that. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Susanna. You're awesome. I will see you guys later. Have a great week and be good.